Good evening, everyone. Is my voice clear?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Good evening and welcome to this week's Policy Manthan discussion. Today's topic is sports in schools, their importance, their need, the government initiatives for their support, and generally a discussion of why they're important. Today, I'll be hosting today's meeting with my co-host Abhiniti, and I hope we're able to have a fruitful discussion on the topic and gain some more information from everybody because it's something that I don't think is tackled enough in Indian schools. We often have a very academic approach, and sports is integral to starting a holistic education in any country. We can look at soft skills and many other things, but sports itself is something that's integral to a child's fitness and also encourages teamwork and camaraderie between students as well. So I think that's all I can give for introduction today. Shantanu, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, Shandini, you can start.
Hi everyone, good evening. So today's discussion topic is sports in school importance, need and government initiatives for the support. As we all know that sports plays a very important role in overall development, physical development and mental development for a child. So from a very early age, from the play school, if a child is joining, so he or she gets around 1 to 2 hours daily as a sports activity period. Since then, regularly till class 8, 10, and 12, which is a major peak in a school, they at least get 1 or 2 period of sports during their curricular schedule. This is important because they know, because the authority or because the environment which is set for the student is for the overall development focused. So how this came into existence, how the policy of sports, national sports came into existence is in 1984, government realized the importance of adopting sports and for the educational, for the development, for the overall development of a child. As a youth, once he grows, their physical activity should be equivalent to their mental and their social involvement. Since then, in 2011, the same policy was revised where the government authorities mentioned that sports is equivalent for the human capital for fostering the social harmony and developing the employment. Since then, in 2018, the Hello India scheme was launched by our uh, Department of Sports, Government of India, where they mentioned some 12 important legacy which is being focused on all these sports being played in the country. And with that, they are trying to encourage the youth, they are trying to encourage the children to take part in all the kind of sports they are interested in, and then represent country in the national sports, in the either in the state level or on the international level. So with that, if we are looking after SDG goals, in every 17 goals, we can correlate that how important role a youth is playing. So for being fit, sports is very important from a very early age till the period which is going on. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
I think the way you mentioned and tried connecting the SDG goals to sports, is a really good way to start thinking in that particular sense. And we could, develop a bit more about how it, actually impacts the overall development of the country as a person, as an individual. So now we'll move on to Raj Lakshmi.
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Yes. So focusing upon the importance of sports, we can say it for personality development. It gives you a lot of skills, leadership, team spirit, patience. A sports teacher always used to say that what the classroom can teach you, the ground teaches you. Uh, One more thing which I think sports inculcates among us is socialization. We get to know more people, we socialize with them. Therefore, it is very important for sports to be a part of our curriculum. Uh, as we know that physical education, at least in Maharashtra state board, it is a compulsory subject for you at the board level. And talking about some other schemes, we have a National Sports Development Fund, which is used to uh, bring international coaches and international level infrastructure to train the athletes or the sports person. Then, as Shantanu mentioned, Halo India program. And one more is National Sports Talent Contest, in which the government of India identifies some gifted and talented sports persons between the age of 8 to 40. Sports, sports is such a thing that it really needs talent, and only talent speaks there, and there is no nepotism. Like, for example, we can take Arjun Tendulkar. He is the son of Sachin Tendulkar, but doesn't matter if he doesn't have that skills. So that's why I think sports is very important, and it leads to the overall development of the student. Thank you.
Really well spoken. And now I would like to call up Farhana.
Okay. Sports are important in schools because they assist children to learn a variety of abilities, including leadership, endurance, tolerance, teamwork, and social skills. Students who participate in sports improve their mental and physical strength. For students, regular exercise is essential since it is not only physical keeps them physically but also helps them become more emotionally fit. Sports should play a significant role in the educational program because when students are emotionally and physically stable, they are better able to concentrate on their academics. To boost self-esteem, cognitive performance, and confidence in students, school sports are required. Through several ministries and departments, the Indian government invests significantly in youngsters initiatives, such as Army Boys Sports Company Scheme for sub-junior level trainees, SAI training centers schemes for junior level trainees. For example, National Sports Talent Contest Scheme for sub-junior level trainees scheme is being implemented to scout sports talent in the age group of 8 to 14 years from schools and nurture them into future medal hopes by providing scientific training. The NSTC scheme has a total of 1,060 trainees, including 805 boys and 255 girls. So we can say that Government of India taking enough initiatives to promote sports in school. That's all.
Well spoken, Farhana. I would like to call upon Vineet now. Vineet. Yes.
Am I audible? So good evening, everyone. Today we have a very interesting topic, that is sports in school. From my own experience, what I can say is that sports are not encouraged in school. I can recall that we used to have one games period during a schooling days, and that too was sometimes taken by another school teacher to cover the remaining syllabus. and majority of parents also believe that sport doesn't have a significant value in our development. However, that notion is now being challenged as the National Education Policy mentions child integrated education in its paragraph 4.6 and recognizes sports' role in our holistic development. There are also several studies. For reference, I would like to quote pediatric obesity that mentions that by 2025 we will have over 17 million obese children. And the report mentions that the two major reasons are poor eating habit and sedentary lifestyle. That the issue of poor eating habit is acknowledged by government, but the issue of sedentary lifestyle is not mainstream yet, especially among the state government. The good news is that this union government is hell-bent on sports. For instance, they have increased sports budget for this fiscal year to 3,062 crore rupees, which increase entails an hefty increase of 305 crore rupees. The Khelo India program, which was launched in 2018, has one of its primary objective physical fitness of school children. So that is also reflects a positive mindset. Uh, under this program, Khelo India school games are also organized. And what I think is that schools and academics complement each other. Not everyone who indulge in sports must take it as a career option, because that is the thing that frightens our parents the most. And the government has already initiated policy changes. So what we need is awareness regarding sports in school. The government must promote sports not as a distinct activity, but rather something that contributes to our holistic development. For that, nationwide awareness campaign is crucial. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
I think some really well presented here. I do have a question which is open for all. I think Vineet talked about budget, the the part of the budget in which is allotted to sports. So my question is that according to you, is this the right amount, or should there be more budget money allotted to this particular segment? Anybody can answer it. Go ahead, Tanya.
Uh, yes. Good evening, everyone. So the question that was asked by Abhiniti is that whether we should invest more in sports or not. It is obviously like it is kind of obvious to invest more in these sectors, because according to the recent 2022 budget that Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman introduced, so we can see that like in the first 1 hour of her entire speech, she mainly focused on infrastructure development, or trades, tariffs, foreign policies, and of course, with those are important for development. But it is also, but these can be developed only when we try to improve the human resources, and human resources can only be improved if we focus on a child or the children's education or children's sports, because until and unless they are not educated, until and unless they are not healthy, they won't be able to contribute in the overall development of the economy. So I believe that this not ignorance, I would say, but this less prioritizing education and sports should be more, and the encouragement and promotion from the government side should also be there, because we can see that during the COVID, when the government asked everyone to go out of their or maybe stand in balcony and light candles, or maybe beat thalis and all, and everyone listened. So we can understand that how powerful the government speeches are, and how influential the government is. So I think in this sector also the government can make such kind of, or can promote these kind of like in order to encourage or develop in this sector.
Anyone else who would like to add on to this?
Yeah, Abhiniti, I'll go.
Go
So
ahead.
as mentioned by Tanya, like in the budget by Dr. Sita Raman, she like the same thing she did 1 hour. She mentioned about infrastructure and all, but when the sports budget was announced, we can see that there was increase of 506 crores since 2021. This time we have a budget of 3,076 crore. Last year we had 2,500 something. So we can see that government is also taking initiative to promote sports in the country, and launching such schemes will definitely help in the coming years to represent our country at different level.
Chalo. I think this does justify the answer, but I do have another question. But before that, we will move on back to Ella. Ella, you here?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, go ahead. Please turn on your camera. Yeah.
Is it visible?
No, you're not visible.
Yeah.
Now you're visible.
Okay. So, talking about the sports, uh, basically, when we try to implement the sports in the school curriculum, we mainly see there is a contradictory term for the sports and the education. Maybe the wrong perception which the society has, or the stigma related to the sports and the like correlating sports and education. We usually feel that when the if the sports is given prominent position, the education of a particular children will be deteriorating, since the focus would be shifting from the education to the sports. But the society the society fails to understand that they are the two sides of the same coin. For overall development, the students needs to have understand the importance and the benefits of the sports. So the sports benefit ranging from the the idea of team spirit or the leadership skills to the physical benefits it provide. So the students should be encouraged to participate in these sports. And apart from the benefits it poses, there are there are the government schemes ranging from the like Samagra Shiksha schemes, which provides the sports grants, annual grant for the sports equipments. Then the other which is mentioned is the Khelo India scheme, with and one more thing that the about the budget which is highlighted by the other persons, like it has increased by 300 5.58 crore this in this union budget 2022. So what we see is that even though there is a implementation taking place, there is a uh, there is a stigma which is still prevalent, and the sports education is not that much encouraged, because we usually feel that the bread and butter which the education can earn, or the livelihood which the education provide, the sports may not compensate for that. So for that, what is required is the infrastructure, the proper infrastructure, so that the more students and the other facilities will be provided to different students, so that the career opportunities increase in terms of when we speak of the sports. So there can be certain steps like decoupling the politics from the sports, because we usually see that when we bring politics into any arena, the benefits which can be taken out from the any step gets reduced. So we need to remove the politics from it, and then we need to encourage the private sector investment in that. It's not only the government should be they should rely on the government for the different schemes and the scholarships or the championship opportunities. Then the NGOs and the different NGOs and the sports federation should be encouraged, so that the students can get an opportunity to enroll on this. So that's what I have to say.
I think some really great measures highlighted here by Ella about the fact that sports committees should be, active and should promote sports. We'll move on to Tanya.
Yes. So I think, okay, so most of the points is already being covered by my colleagues. That's great, actually. But another, like, so there are certain points that I also want to keep in front of everyone is that sports is not just, it helps for a holistic development, not just for physical and mental well-being, but it also tries to diversify like it helps in diversion of crimes. It build a child's mind in such a way. Being a sports person, I know that it build a child's mentality or maybe a personality in such a way that it like stops or maybe restrict a child from doing any kind of maybe ill behavior in the society, or like kind of robbery or maybe any such kind of things. Mm, Another thing is that we have to look, of course, the sports culture in urban region and also the sports culture in rural area is extremely different. It's both it I mean, the both the areas highlight different scenarios, because in rural areas the government schools, sorry, the all the schools are uh, they are government aided. So school education in rural India is mostly dependent on government incentives. Therefore, due to lack of proper fund, proper coaching and equipment, it becomes a major obstruction. Another thing is that we have to look sports through the lens of gender, where where females are extremely vulnerable to the societal norms and the stereotypical mindset that if a girl plays, then she might grow muscles, she will dismantle her feminine character, nobody will marry her. So these are certain things that actually is impediment to a girl's overall holistic development. Another thing is that the popular saying of the kheloge kudoge hoge kharab, padhoge likhoge hoge nabab. So this is a very popular saying which automatically reflects that what majority of Indian families believe, I mean, understand when they hear about this word sports. So of course, as my colleague mentioned, that of the families do not consider sports as a profession, because that is not going to suffice their child's maybe livelihood. And also, one example that I can give, in recent interview, KL Rahul, he literally mentioned that he's one of the biggest cricketer, but then also his family is not happy because he did not become a doctor. So that also reflects this kind of ignorant perspective towards the sports thing. Okay, so talking about the NEP, which is a revised version of all the previous policies. The NEP has definitely encouraged and tried to promote sports in school education. How? It recommends it recommends higher institution to take sports science and sport management to the school level, which in turn will improve their career prospect as well as enhance sports economy. And another thing that I want to add is that sports should not be considered as an extracurricular activity. It should be included in the academic area. That is, a grading system should be introduced in order to make mandatory for all the students in the to perform well or maybe participate in any kind of physical activities. Along with that, my colleagues have already mentioned about Khelo India National Sports Development Fund. So yes, and also monitoring and assessment is equally important, because the allocation of fund that is coming from the central, so a proper monitoring is required, that where the fund is going, whether it is reaching the targeted beneficiaries or not. So yes, of course, state, so a cooperative federalism is required here, both from both central and the state government, as well as the NGOs should be a part of it.
I think a lot of us missed out the point wherein which Tanya covered, about the fact that girls are actually not encouraged to pursue sports as a career with the mindset that they will develop muscles and nobody will marry them in the future. So I think points well noted and put forth. We'll move on to Ashka before I start the open discussion round. Ashka, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi guys, good evening. So we're talking about sports. Sports in schools have obviously immense benefits for both children and the education system itself. So what I want to say is that it is really important that we start spreading awareness about the system. Like a lot of the parents are unaware and don't know that how important sports can be and that it can be an entire career for those who are interested, obviously. And so the Department of School Education and Literacy of the Ministry of Education introduced the Samagra Shiksha, which attempts to provide an integrated school system for preschool to higher secondary level. This will facilitate the transition of children across various levels of school education, and also it will aid in promotion of a development system basically. This vision of this scheme is to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education for preschool to senior secondary stage in accordance with the SDG of education. Under this system, for the first time, provision for annual grants for sport equipment have been made. Every government school will be receiving a sports grant of rupees 5,000 for primary schools and 10,000 for upper primary schools and 25,000 for secondary and senior secondary schools for meeting expenses on procuring sports equipment for indoor and outdoor games. So I think this should help maintain fitness goals as well. Yeah, so that's all on my side. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Well spoken. And I do have a question. I think on which it's a question in general about the fact that I think Tanya had mentioned about KR Rahul, but when we talk about players like Sachin Tendulkar or for that matter, Saina Nehwal, so at the end when they retire from their career, despite the ups and the downs, the government does provide them with a job, security, as they provide a government job. So do you not think that there should be enough incentive for parents starting from school to actually encourage their students, to encourage their kids to play sports and actually build a career into it? Because at the end of the day, most of the parents do want that their kids end up, this is something which is a very general perception, that most of the parents do want that their kids end up with a government job. So yeah, anybody can answer. Yes, Tanya.
Yeah, so in the context of your question, oh sorry, oh yeah, I have unmuted myself. So my answer would be that pre-incentives is important more than post-incentive. I can give an example that after Neeraj Chopra bagging the Olympic gold medal, he received 5 crore rupees. Had he received the same amount before his victory, he would have definitely, there are so many people like Neeraj Chopra who cannot play, or the young students, because they start building their sports career from the school age itself. So pre-incentives are equally important. And if we think if we look into the matter of what the generic family things that they mostly look, of course, sports, if you are well in sports, then you will automatically get a job in government sector. So career in sports should be encouraged by family itself and also by the government. It's not that if you are into sports, it means you have to be an athlete, you have to be Neeraj Chopra or Abhinav Brinda. That does not, there is no hard and fast rule. So if you are well in sports, you can also grab a government job. So yes.
Yeah, Krish.
I think adding on to a bit of what Tanya said, It's a lot about giving incentives first. But one point that I wanted to bring up as well was the examples you mentioned, right? You gave two very big names in Indian sports. The issue is just for those to exist, there's also hundreds, if not thousands, of people who put in a lot of effort into sports. You know, they sacrifice their time in studying and other things, while but were not able to reach that level for a variety of reasons that may not have been their fault. You know, financing is very low in India, and in often places, no matter how much effort you put in, you just don't have facilities available depending on where you live, right? So it often comes down to I think it's a 1 in a million shot, whereas there's a much more guaranteed ways to sustain success in other places, which might make parents feel insecure about letting their children take such a big chance at life.
Yeah, go ahead, Shantanu.
Yeah, so the sportsmen, like the sportsmen you mentioned, they are already in the government jobs. Like Neeraj Chopra was Subedar. Later, he got promoted to a bigger post. Same, Dhoni. He is a major in an army. So, like this would be one of the motivation for the youngsters to take up these sports, and later on they can end up after their retirement into a government job. Same thing we can correlate with the government colleges, that they have a separate percentage of seat as a sports quota for the government examinations, SSC, and then other examinations, whatever there are. In a form, they have a separate column to fill whether you are having any sports certification or not. So these are the kind of initiatives which government has taken to promote, which will definitely influence the parents as well to encourage their children to take up these sports during their initial schooling and later on in the college as well, which can definitely help them in ending up with a good government job later on.
Yeah, I totally agree with the fact that there is a separate sports quota so that they are able to have proper admissions. Being a DU student myself, I know people who have got their admission through sports quota and are doing really well in that particular sports. I do have a question though. We talked about funding, right? So there is like this is like a realm where a lot of underfunding takes place, and we end up going back to sports infrastructure. So what, according to you, could be done to actually improve the sports infrastructure of our country? Because I know for a fact that when we talk about schools, particularly like even if we talk about private schools, there is some sort of exposure available for sports, be it basketball. I mean, the most mainstream sports are football, basketball, badminton, okay? But when we talk about sports like archery, then we talk about javelin throw. So why are these sports not actually encouraged even from a very foundational level? Because at the end of the day, we as a citizen of the country, we end up criticizing the government, saying that we do not have that facility. But I personally feel that we should have that from a foundational level. So what do you think are the leaks, and what could be the possible injections by the government which actually helps in encouraging these particular sports in our country? Till the time you guys are thinking, I'll just give a scenario that so basically in private schools, to some extent there is archery. Okay, archery there are teachers available, but sports like javelin throw, then you have lawn ball, all these sports which are actually very which are actually very which can be easily achieved, or which wherein you can actually score well, you can achieve well. those sports are not even known in our country apart from when it is played during Olympics or during Commonwealth. So if we talk about Neeraj Chopra, sir, so he was a part of the armed forces, after which he joined sports field. So what he said was that there was a lack of sports infrastructure provided in the initial time, but then later on, because he had achieved a particular, some sort of level, yeah, the government saw that, yeah, if we invest in him, we'll get a good profit. So he was then provided with proper infrastructure. So why is it that whenever we talk about sports infrastructure, um, when the government sees that this investment is profitable, then only they invest, whereas they should actually give a proper opportunity, an equal chance to each and every individual to actually excel in sports. So to give your thoughts about this as well while you're working out the answer. Anybody in the meeting can go for the answer if they want.
Yeah, I can try, because this is absolutely a like something that I do not know in that deeply. So thanks to Policy Manthan for discussing this. So what I believe, what I think is that every year some or the other new sports are introducing, which maybe India is not aware of it. For example, javelin. I personally never heard of javelin before Neeraj Chopra, and this new game again, lawn balls, which was introduced in Commonwealth, and even Indian women team won gold medal. So there are certain things that are completely new to us, and because of that, uh, it it actually takes time for the majority, like for the population, to first know about it, and then in order to hire coaches from outside, it also require a lot of funding. So because of, firstly, the lack of awareness of that particular sport, I personally I didn't know about lawn balls before. So, and it is introduced in the Commonwealth game this year. So number one is awareness. We always know sports mean cricket and football and hockey, but these are new things that are coming up every day. So India need to, like the population in general, need to adapt with these new changes. Not changes, I would say new introduction. And secondly, regarding infrastructure, like everything goes back to A1, that is infrastructure. So for that, I think that again, both the central government and the state government should make conscious effort, and to change this scenario of infrastructure, and give enough opportunity to the sportsmen to try new sports that are being introduced.
Shantanu, would you like to add something?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
So during my schooling, we were used to play only football and cricket and basketball. Although we had the javelin, the other sports things which is being used like hockey and all, but due to the lack of the field, it was not possible for us to play. Because for a javelin throw, we need a proper ground, and in the same ground, other class is playing football. So what if that javelin goes and uh, gets into some hits some student? So the infrastructure which is needed to be included is a proper spacing for each and every sports which are being included by government as well as the school authority. So while they are releasing the prospectus for the new admissions, they should also include that what kind of infrastructure for the sports they have. And accordingly, a student who is interested or who really wants to want to learn that, should be encouraged. The sports teacher during my days, my schooling days, they were only giving us the bat and football that you go and play. They were like, I should not mention this, but this was the scenario. But for now, as the time is changing, the children, they are much more excited to take part in some newer kind of sports. I think the coming generation would be much more indulged into different kind of sports than the what was happening before. That's it.
Yes, Tanya.
Yes, another thing that I want to add is that I am a swimmer, so I am going to say this from my experience is that swimming is something that India always lag behind in any, like maybe in Olympic, in Commonwealth, and we keep on asking that why this happened. India can never, no sportsman from India can actually win even, there is no chance of winning even a bronze medal in any of these, I mean, games. What again, it comes to infrastructure, because in India there is definitely lack of swimming pools, and only even if there is swimming pool, there are swimming pools, but then also maintenance is equally important. So those are not maintained, and for proper swimming pool you need funding. Even the costume is also, it's kind of costly, and the women are also, they are not allowed to wear that swimsuit because of the society. So yeah, these are the obstruction that I believe that people or maybe students in general face.
Oh yeah, I'll go back onto the sports equipment after Krish completes his point.
I think just a specific counterpoint when it just comes to swimming. I swim competitively in Haryana. So I think at least in the recent, I've been swimming for the past 6 years. The recent years at least, there has been a very dramatic shift in how sports is treated. I don't know if it's just the case in my state specifically, but in urban areas, there are a lot of pools, if not Olympic sized pools, 25-meter pools at least. And it is a sport that is gradually becoming larger thanks to not only, I think actually, thanks to private facilities as compared to government facilities. You know, academies opening up, schools opening up their pools for other things. So I think it is a very valid point. How the government can maybe start supporting private initiatives instead of trying to fund entirely new initiatives when it comes to sports.
I think I do have a similar perspective with Krish, but I would also like to add on the fact that um rather than collaborating, they could actually cap the prices of the private coaching so that the sport is actually encouraged among people despite the income gaps. And like Tanya said, that we do not have much athletes in the swimming ka field, so we do not get much of the medals from international competitions. And most, like, there are a lot of categories under this particular sports. So Tanya talked about equipment. So the same question, do you think, since equipment is a major challenge which people face, it's very expensive, so do you think that there should be a capping sort of policy, jaise we have minimum support price? Do you think there should be something like that for sports equipment as well? Is there something like this, or there should be something like this, and this could be a possible initiative which could help in promotion of sports?
Sorry, Abhinati, could you please repeat your question once?
Yeah, so basically, you know what minimum support price is, right? It is something, it is basically something that the government gives, okay? But keeping MSP aside for the time right now, we talk about price ceiling. Price ceiling is key. The government says ki isse zyada you can't charge, okay? You can't charge more than this on this particular product. So do you think that sports infrastructure, sports equipment should also come under this particular price ceiling initiative, just say ki we actually are able to promote you know um, sports infrastructure, sports in general, for kids who are not able to actually afford the equipment. Shantanu has said yes, there should be price ceiling. ठीक है, good. I mean, I personally feel that price ceiling might not actually solve, because end of the day, we have more than half of the, just a minute, Tanya, we have more than half of the population dealing with poverty. So I personally feel that the government could take up an initiative जहाँ पे वो freebies provide कर सकते हैं for some time, to actually acclimatize these kids who are interested in sports to actually start building and channelizing their efforts into that particular field. So I feel that freebies be, to some extent, it should be a mix and match of price ceiling and freebies. Go ahead, Tanya.
Yeah, you just now mentioned about the challenges of price ceiling, because we also have to look into the market, because everyone here is they have their own interest and profit is one such. So if the government makes a price ceiling, then definitely it's going to like there will be a repercussion in the sellers who are actually selling. So that of course, the thing that you have mentioned, that price ceiling plus freebies, it's a good initial, like it can be a good idea in terms of giving I mean the sports person to like some opportunities. But I don't know, let's see what others had to say.
Anybody else would like to add on to this?
Freebies will definitely attract the social inclusion for the one who are really in need, because we know that the different wise stakeholders, they'll do the partiality and will distribute the goods which are being supplied by the government. One of the Anganwadis I visited, it's just an example I'm giving. One of the Anganwadis I visited, I saw that lady was not registered under the MNC program, but still she was getting the dalia because she was the relative of that Anganwadi worker. Okay, so same thing may happen if you are doing this free distribution freebies here. You need a proper channel to first check who will definitely take up this and will utilize or not.
Yeah, but so for example, a lot of athletes have actually come up with their own charitable funds, wherein they actually teach young underprivileged, even privileged for that matter, kids to and promote sports in their own personal way by contributing to the society. For example, we have Sachin Tendulkar, then we also have Mary Kom who's teaching boxing. But यहाँ पे they, despite their despite their fame or despite their expertise, they lack funds on their own aspect. So I personally feel that if the government actually supports these organizations, it might help, you know. So I'm just trying to solve the freebies all part, and I'm just trying to look for a solution. We can actually distribute these freebies through these charities, so that they are able to reach the target audience. Yeah, the intersectoral participation. Elaborate on this a bit more, Shantanu.
So as you mentioned about the NGOs which are really required for the funds, because they are lacking for the funds, the organizations, the government, if they are participating, so the government and that organization, when they are working together, it's called the intersectoral participation. Like your words into this one. I just mentioned the terminology.
Yeah, so it is what we were talking about, intersectoral participation. You want to say something, Tanya? Chalo. I do have a question apart from the policy discussion. Let's talk about your personal experience. What have you, like, as an individual, been affected, and what changes do you see with the change in the time and the change in people understanding the society, the mindset ki yes, sports is an integral part nowadays. So what according to you is, like, what's your personal experience if you are a sports person?
Can I? Okay. What I have noticed or observed is that definitely the mindset of the parents are definitely changing. But although there is this somewhat the parents or the families are uncertain as whether you can make it as your profession, whether you can make a career in sports. That will always be a that will definitely going to haunt the families. But another thing is that yes, it is changing. The India is changing, and physical activities and uh, physical activities and of course sports are definitely being encouraged, but at the same time I think at the grassroots level more to be done in the rural areas. uh, yeah, that's all.
I think agreed. Like you said that India is changing. Another thing that popped into my mind was that when we compare India with other countries, we see that we are burdened with studies. Like we do have like a lot to do in school, then we have a lot to do at home. We are pressured with homework. And when I look at the same structure, when I look at the education structure abroad, particularly US or Canada or any other, developing country, even for that matter, we see that most of the homework is being done in school. And then the child is free and they are supposed to participate in a sports activity to improve their soft skills. So, do you think that this is something that India can adopt as well?
Yeah, as like in our earlier discussion, I have already mentioned that Indian education system need to change in order to enforce the actual provisions of the guidelines of the NEP, because the NEP is strongly trying to promote vocational skills. So, in order to make a space for vocational skills, you also have to look after the education system. Like if you are burdening a child with a lot of syllabus, with a lot of books and all, so definitely it is quite obvious that the child won't be able to focus entirely uh, uh, on the sports arena. So yeah, definitely that in the developed countries, say for example, we can take the example of developing countries like Singapore or Bhutan. So there also their education system is definitely quite different than the Indian education system. So they are also they are excelling well compared to India. Is of course the fifth largest economy. So comparatively, I think India should become a role model to all the developing countries or the neighboring countries. So I think India should take the first step in order to make some changes.
Okay, I think I agree with you to this matter that we do need to take some initiatives apart from infrastructure and actually promote sports especially in schools, because it is important that we inculcate or inject this particular field from a foundational level, so as to create an interest for the kids. But I also feel that initiatives like Halo India are something which I personally feel is comes at a much later stage, after you have actually, provided some sort of training to the people, after you've inculcated the interest, provided the facilities at a very, at a foundational level in government schools and in schools in general. So, Khelo India is something which was introduced a lot before, and the government, I personally feel, had missed all these steps. So yeah, any other concluding remarks that you guys would like to add? Yes, Ria.
Yeah, am I audible? Yes. So I would like to add the point of differently abled people in sports. Like that is something which is very much ignored by everybody. So like for the Khelo India budget of 500 out of 500 crores, only 4 crores were granted for differently abled children for pursue sorry differently abled sports person to pursue their career in sports. So like that is a fact which is very disturbing, because studies show that it is really necessary to for differently able people to have proper body movement in order to maintain their proper body functioning, and their bodily movements are very much limited. So like yeah, that is something which we need to take into consideration.
I think we all ignored the fact that we do have Paralympics twice. We have one in winters and we have one in summers. So thank you, Ria, for raising out that point. And I totally agree on this fact that even though body movement is required, but again, we do need to, inculcate this sports as probably a vocational subject for the differently abled people, so that they know that they do have a chance of setting up a career in a particular field, because a lot of people who are differently abled get actually demotivated with the fact that because of their disability. So I personally feel that this might actually be a chance for them to shine and actually put their efforts into a particular place. So anybody else who would like to add? Okay, guys. Let's conclude today's session, and I'll be sending the session. I'll be sending the topic for the next session on the group. Before that, let's take a picture. Guys, please turn on your cameras fast. Krish, Ella, Vineet, Monica, Raj Lakshmi, please turn on your cameras. Farhana. Just a minute. Ella, Farhana. Okay, looks like they're not planning on opening it. Just a minute. Okay, guys, I'll just take the picture. Turn on your cameras. Okay, we have Ella with us now. We'll just take the picture. Smile, everybody. Okay, done. Thank you so much, guys. A really fruitful discussion. Just